Did you know that nearly 60% of students at the University of Colorado felt that despite their best efforts to recycle, they just don't know what is recyclable? 78% felt some kind of guilt related to not recycling. Why do students feel this way, and what can be done to close the knowledge gap for people who want their waste to go to the correct places? Hello, consumers of environmental media. I am one of your hosts, Jay Spencer, and this is the Recycling Report, where we will discuss the thing that everyone talks about doing but never really does: recycling. Before I begin, like any good scientist, I will note that their bias is in the collection of any data, and they may not explain all of the trends that we see in recycling habits, but they can still provide excellent insight into people's behavior. That data from the beginning of the podcast came from a survey conducted by our team. It collected data from 87 individuals who are university students primarily attending the University of Colorado Boulder. On that data, only 31.4% of respondents were confident about the education they received on recycling, with almost 70% lacking confidence in their knowledge about recycling. What might be happening? First, much of the recycling knowledge that students retain comes down to unhelpful slogans like reduce, reuse, recycle, something that interviewees had little trouble remembering.
Do you remember the 3 R's from elementary school?
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Let's hear another clip from our interviewing team and some of the students at CU that they stopped on campus to see what they think.
Do you recycle?
Occasionally,
Occasionally.
I do.
Why or why not? Like, what's your
I
reasoning?
recycle when it's convenient. When I see a recycling bin, I'll recycle.
That seems to be the sentiment for a lot of people. Recycling can be difficult, especially when you don't know what can be recycled or how it can be recycled. Speaking of what and how you can recycle, let's talk about recycling symbols so you can get out there and be a recycling fiend.
Do you think that these symbols should be a lot easier to understand?
Yes, I have no idea what those mean. They're just numbers.
After this, you're going to be an expert in what all of those numbers mean. You know those recycling codes that are found on the bottom of plastic bottles that you don't really look at with numbers 1 through 7 on them? Yeah, those. Each of those is a classification of the material used in it. It can help you determine whether or not that product is widely recyclable. First off, and in general, as the number increases, the plastic becomes harder to recycle. The most commonly accepted categories are 1 and 2. 1 is disposable food and drink containers like soda, and 2 is non-transparent plastics found in cleaner bottles or cutting boards. These are things you can be pretty sure will end up in the right places if you do everything correctly. Other plastic codes that cannot be recycled in your curbside bin are 3, which is stuff like grocery bags, cooking oil, or even sewage pipes. 4 is your sandwich bags or tote bags. 5 is straws and medicine bottles. 6, styrofoam and CD cases. And 7 can be any number of things from compostables, sunglasses, to bulletproof materials. Some of these have special cases, like 3 and 4 is grocery bags being accepted at the store you bought them from, or 5 starting to be accepted more broadly in some places curbside. But none of these can be recycled if they are not clean. Your dirty orange juice bottle that you forgot to rinse out, yeah, that can't be recycled, so make sure to give it a quick wash. Moving on. Recycling centers and recycling programs.
Do you trust the recycling program in Boulder County?
I don't know anything about the recycling program in Boulder County.
I think so. I mean, it's hard to know where it really goes at the end of the day.
It seems that people don't really know much about the recycling programs or centers. They do so much for keeping waste out of landfills as much as possible. In Boulder County, we have the awesome Boulder County Recycling Center, which is operated by EcoCycle. They do great work handling all kinds of waste, including stuff like recycling old technological devices. Make sure to check them out at ecocycle.org. That's ECOCYCLE.org. EcoCycle even has this fun little game where you can practice what can and can't be recycled curbside. Different recycling centers have different guidelines, and it would be impossible to cover all of the centers and programs across the U.S. or even in Colorado. So check out your local recycling or hazardous waste centers to see what is and isn't recyclable. It's really as easy as looking up your city or county followed by recycling. Here's some common misconceptions about recycling. Can you recycle crushed aluminum cans?
Yes. I don't know, yeah.
No.
No.
No, you shouldn't crush them. I have no idea. I used to do it, and then someone told me not to, and so I stopped. But I don't actually know if they were right.
No, not easily, and many places do not accept them once you've crushed them, so put them into your bin whole. Can you recycle plastic bags?
No. No, you cannot.
Good.
Oh, I have no idea. I use them as extra trash bags, so I'll be honest, I don't.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. You can make stuff out of them. My
You can.
grandma used to
You
make
can
sleeping
reuse them.
pads for the homeless.
Nope. These guys are notorious polluters. Sometimes, and I emphasize sometimes, they can be returned to the store you got them from, but that is rare. When you can, bring a tote bag to cut down on that plastic waste. They're like $1 at most places. And they're way sturdier than that piece of plastic that rips on you in the middle of the parking lot. Knowing what needs to be recycled and how it can be recycled often seems like a big task, but if I've done my job right, you should at least have an idea of the basics of some plastic recycling. Then you can get out there and do the good work of preventing waste from polluting our ecosystems. With 95% of 51 million tons of plastic waste created in 2021 ending up in the environment, something has to be done about humanity's plastic problem, and you can be a part of the solution. Buy reusable materials like shopping bags, food storage containers, and water bottles. Take a look at the recycling symbol on packaging you buy. Treat it like a game to see how often certain symbols pop up if you need to. Set aside things that can't be recycled curbside to take to a recycling center when they can't be recycled curbside and just need a little extra attention. You know what else you can do? You can share this podcast or the knowledge you gain with it with friends or family, teaching them the ins and outs of recycling. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful, fantastic day. A special thanks to Lee Frankel Goldwater for advising and encouraging the creation of this project, and an extra special thanks to the people who made this podcast possible. Hannah Myers, Alejandro Pino, Ali Cruz, and Zoe Grell, thank you for your work designing and producing this podcast.